There are two major countries that the President of the United States dislikes. One of them is China, and the other one is Mexico. There is a popular beer called Corona, produced in Mexico. And Donald Trump once called the coronavirus the Chinese virus. The Mexican Corona beer is one of the top-selling beers in the world.
I'll be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I'll take them back from China, from Japan, from Mexico, which is doing an incredible job. Their leaders are much smarter than our leaders. They're taking tremendous industry. If you look, Nabisco just announced they're building a big plant. They're leaving Chicago.
The Corona beer suspended their production until further notice. Thus, two major countries that Donald Trump dislikes are suffering from the coronavirus. One of them is China and the other one is Mexico. Chinese people are running out of business, and one of the top-selling beers that belongs to Mexico suspended their production. Spanish flu. The Spanish flu pandemic is connected to the coronavirus pandemic. The Spanish flu pandemic was an unusually deadly influenza pandemic lasting from January 1918 to December 1920. It infected 500 million people, about a quarter of the world's population at the time. Notice that the date that Spanish flu started, January 1918. Spanish flu started January 1918. Coronavirus started January 2020. Notice the dates that the Spanish flu started. Spanish flu pandemic started January 1918. Coronavirus became popular January 2020. These both viruses occurred during the constellation of Capricorn. Pandemic, Spanish virus, pandemic, January, coronavirus, pandemic, 2020, January. The Spanish flu was also known in 1918 as the 1918 flu pandemic, and in the English Ordinal, the full reduction of the English Ordinal, 1918 flu pandemic is 69 in reduction. A Kabbalistic code, 69, reflection of 96. 1920 is the reflection of 2019. 1920 reflects 2019. From 1920 to 2020 is exactly 100 years. 100 is a very important number. Very, very important number. The Spanish flu ended in 1920 and the coronavirus started in 2020. From 1920 to 2020 is exactly 100 years. 100 years is a very important number to the Kabbalah. 100 equals 1 in following the rules of numerology. Back in 1918 to 1920, during the Spanish flu, the masses were also wearing a mask on their face. They were all wearing masks, just like people are wearing masks now in 2020 because of the coronavirus. The Spanish flu started around January and ended in December. Both months during the constellation of Capricorn, which is pandemic, Saturn. Just like the coronavirus started from December and became popular in January 2020. The same constellation of Capricorn, Saturn, Allah. During the Spanish flu, the world was also quarantined. Many theaters, schools, shops were also closed during the Spanish flu, just like in 2020. Stores everywhere is closed, people are quarantined and wearing face masks. Everything that happened during the Spanish flu are also the same things that are happening now. The same staged events. The same processes based on the relations from the public relations from the mass media. Based on the public relations from the mass media. In gematria, if you combine Spanish flu plus coronavirus, you will get 100 in full reduction. And from 1920 to 2020 is exactly 100 years of the Spanish flu. These are not coincidences. These were perfectly created. These viruses were perfectly released on a specific years. It took 100 years for them to unveil a new virus that is as similar as their previous virus. So the combination of Spanish flu and coronavirus gives us exactly 100 in full reduction. And from 1920, when the Spanish flu ended, to 2020, when coronavirus started, is exactly 100 years. In order for you to understand how the cabal makes movements, you have to pay attention to dates, times, and nouns. That is, the names of things. Some of the outcomes of this coronavirus Kabbalistic ritual will be that the world might end up having a mandatory vaccinations. We might end up having a mandatory vaccinations, which is what they want, and in some of these vaccinations, they have mercury inside. They can inject you or whatever that they want. So from this capitalist criminals will do anything to make sure that you get vaccinated. They will eventually make it mandatory. Maybe if you don't have like a paper from a doctor or a clinic saying that you've been vaccinated, you're not going to get a job or something like that. They are capable of creating something like that, and they're going to use the coronavirus outbreak for it.